Good morning, children. After a long gap, I am meeting with you, and today we will start a new chapter, that is light. So, what do you mean by light? As we know, sound, light, all are form of energy. So, light is also a form of energy. So, how we can say that light is a form of energy? First, tell me what do you mean by energy? As you have studied earlier, the capacity of doing work is called energy. So, in that point of view, if you will think what work light is doing for us, can you give me any example that light is doing some work for us, and so we can say that it is a form of energy? So, if you think about light, you will find that light perform a very important vital work. Due to light, the life is possible on the earth. As you know, for food we are dependent on plants, and plants make their food. They grow through a process called photosynthesis, and without light, photosynthesis is not possible. So light plays a very important role for us, and the things are also visible due to light. Without light, we can't see the things around us, because when light falls on them and the reflected light when reaches in our eyes, then we are able to see the objects around us. So for definition, you can write light is a form of energy. Write in your class or copy. Light is a form of energy which help us to see the objects around us. Or you can also write light is a form of energy which gives sensation of sight in our eyes. That is also correct, that it gives a sensation of sight in our eyes. And when light falls on objects and they reflect the light, when reflected light reach in our eyes, we are able to see the things. Then in junior classes, you have read about luminous and non-luminous objects, isn't it? Luminous luminous and non-luminous objects. So, what is a luminous object? Object which have their own light. They emit light of their own are called luminous object. So, we can say which emit their own light. You can give some examples. So, for example, sun, stars, lighted bulb or tube, etc. Then there is a firefly. You might have seen firefly. In winter, it is visible sometimes. So it also emits light when it flies. So these are the examples of luminous object. Then non-luminous object. Non-luminous objects. So just opposite of it, isn't it? The object which do not emit light, the objects which do not emit light. So there are number of non-luminous objects around us, or you can make of their own, because you can say that yes, moon also emit light, but moon emits, it simply reflects the light of the sun. It does not emit light. So there are number of non-luminous objects around us. For example, you can write moon, then planets, your book, the chair on which you are sitting, table, so many things. All these are non-luminous object. Then we have to read about a reflection of light. Must write these things in your copy. So next topic is the reflection of light. So what do you mean by reflection of light? Reflection of light, as you know that light always travels in a straight line path. You are familiar with it, the rectilinear propagation of light, one of the important property of light. So when light falls on a plain polished surface such as a mirror, so when light falls on a mirror or a metallic sheet which is a plain surface, polished surface, then it returns back after striking the surface. It returns back into same medium after striking the surface. So this phenomena is known as reflection of light. So write a definition for it. When light falls on a plain polished surface, it returns back or bounces back into the same medium. This phenomena is known as reflection of light. Isn't it? When light falls on a plain polished surface, it bounces back into same medium, and this phenomena is known as a reflection of light. Now, there are two types of reflections. When light falls on a plain polished surface, then regular reflection takes place. And when it falls on a rough or uneven surface, then diffused reflection takes place or irregular reflection takes place. So, reflection are of two types, right? There are two types of reflection. First, regular reflection, and second, diffused or irregular reflection. So first we will discuss a regular reflection. So as I have said, in case of regular reflection, when light falls on a plain surface, so suppose there is a plain smooth surface, it may be a mirror. Suppose this is a surface of a plain mirror. So let these are the light rays falling on it. Number of rays are coming. So these rays will reflect back by making same angle. So if you will look at the diagram, the suppose these are the incident rays. All these are incident rays, and these are reflected rays. Reflected rays. So you will see the incident rays are parallel to the reflected rays. They are parallel to each other. Here the parallel incident rays are parallel to each other, and the reflected rays are also parallel to each other. So this is in case of regular reflection, and this is plane or smooth surface. So you must know that a regular reflection takes place on a plane or a smooth surface, and the incident rays and the reflected rays are parallel to each other in case of regular reflection. And due to regular reflection, uh, uh, you might have seen that sometimes some objects are appear very clear to us, and some are appear hazy appearance. So the things are visible very clear to us when the reflected rays reflect properly, or they reflect from a smooth surface and reaches in our eyes. Although we can see the objects which reflect from irregular or rough surfaces also, but in that case all the parts are not very clearly visible to us. So in case of diffused or irregular reflection, the surface is rough like this. This is not a smooth surface. So, and let these are the incident rays. But here the reflected rays are not parallel to each other. So must remember, a diffuse reflection takes place from a rough or uneven surface, and you see the reflected rays are not parallel to each other. So these are the main difference, isn't it? And due to irregular or uneven uh, surface, it takes place, and the things are not visible very clearly due to this diffused or irregular reflection. Then before we start laws of reflection, some of the points are very important to know. So let us draw a diagram to know these terms first. So important terms. Related with reflection of light. Now we will discuss the important terms. So first draw a diagram. Suppose there is a plane mirror. Let Mn is a plane mirror. A ray of light incident on it. Let AO is the ray which strike the mirror surface at point O. At point O, we draw a dotted line. This line is called normal. So normal because it makes an angle of 90 degree with the mirror surface, both sides, this side also 90 degree. And when this ray strikes, it returns back after striking the surface. So the arrow is now in reverse direction, and OB represents the a reflected ray, you can mark, let M dash is the mirror and ON is the normal. So the first important term, the incident ray. So first term is incident ray. So AO is the incident ray, the incoming ray of light which strikes the mirror. The ray of light which strikes the mirror. Then O. What O is? O is point of incidence. Point of incidence. So the point on which the incident ray strikes the mirror. So this is point of incidence. Then reflected ray. Third important point is reflected ray. So here OB represents a reflected ray. So we will write the ray which returns back or bounces back after striking the mirror surface. Write it. It's called reflected ray. I think you all have written these points. These points are very important. Now fourth point is normal. Normal. So in this diagram, ON is the normal. Normal means an imaginary straight line st dot means straight line which makes an angle of 90 degree with the mirror surface. So that's why we have drawn it with a dotted line, because it is imaginary, isn't it? This line is imaginary, but it makes an angle of 90 degree with the mirror surface. Then two more important terms are left, and these terms are angle of incidence and angle of reflection, I and R, small I and small r. So next term, I think I can erase left hand side. You all have written it in your classwork copy, so I am erasing it. So fifth term is angle of incidence. That is angle I. So as you look into the diagram, you will find that this angle is angle between AO and ON. And as you know, AO is the incident ray and ON is the normal. So we can say that the angle between incident ray and normal is called angle of incidence. So write the angle between incident ray and normal is called angle of incidence. And the sixth term now, the last one, so that is angle of reflection. Angle of reflection, that is angle R. So again look at figure. So angle R is angle between this OB and ON, and as you know, OB is the reflected ray and ON is normal. So we can say that the angle between reflected ray and normal is called angle of reflection. The angle between reflected ray and normal is called angle of reflection. So these are the 6 important terms related with reflection of light, children. you must note down, and not only note down in your classwork copy but must learn it. We have to use it several times, and you must make a clear concept of it so that you can understand further. Now children, how much you have understand? To check this, giving some questions, and we will discuss the answers. So write these questions. Question 1. Suppose you are in a dark room. Can you see objects in the room? Next, can you see objects outside the room? Explain. Then question 2, we can see the sun because it is glowing. How are we able to see the moon? Write these questions. Then question number 3, differentiate between the regular and diffused reflection. Does diffused reflection mean the failure of the laws of reflection. So these are the three questions and the terms which we have discussed today. I have uploaded a video, and it is about 35 minutes to 30 minutes video, and last 15 to 20 minutes I will take class on Google Meet, and that time I will ask the questions and you have to answer these questions. Uh, Thanks children. In next class we will read about laws of reflections.